Hi, and welcome to another Java by examples video. Today we're going to continue with our invoice example, as we have over here. And today we are going to look a bit into the shipping information, the shipping ID, shipped via, and sales rep's name, shipping date, and due date. And we're also going to look at drawing rects in PDF box and making some simple shapes and some more designed elements in our document. And before I began today, I also moved up our addresses a few points. So instead of 630, I think we chose last time, I moved it up to 660. So those are a bit further up, so we have a bit more space to put our next information into. So now I think we should start by trying to draw a rectangle, and light gray rectangle where we should put our header information, and then I'm gonna try to put a border around this rectangle, and also try to draw some lines so we can have separation between each of our header information, and also add all the information that is needed. So I found this tutorials point help guide here, where you can see how to draw rectangles. It's quite simple, just add rectangle. I guess there's an add line as well, and so on, and then you just run fill or stroke to draw your rectangles. So we are going to use those functions today. So let's get back to the code. So last time we made this print PDF function for the address information, and we actually have one missing detail that we haven't implemented yet for the addresses that I thought of today, and that's in the invoice. We have both ship to and bill to address fetched, but in some cases we want to use the same information for the ship address as the bill address, because we have in our singles JSON a boolean in the ship address that we should use the same address as the billing address. So in order to fix this, we need to read the shipping information and get that object, and then check if that object contains this boolean and if it's set to true, and then we will use the billing address as well. So let's do some coding here, put this into here, and in the ship to, if that exists, we will fetch that element as a JSON object, some object, and ship to, you can call it ship to object, and the ship to object if that contains key. Then we copy paste this key over here, same as billing. And if it contains that key, and if ship to object get this value, and we cast it to a boolean, and if that's equal to true, then we should use the bill to address instead. So this ship to address should be equal to this bill to address. So that's pretty much the function we want to add there. And because we have said that the ship to address is null, we could say that if ship2 is still null, when we come down here, then we will add this here. And so that's still not learned my key bindings yet. Let's see here. We have so, see here, and yeah, I forgot semicolon somewhere. So let's see where that's missing. Ship to if this ship to is, and if this build to, so let's read it, and it's inside of the invoice Java line 25. So here we have, yes, got one parenthesis too much, got a bit distracted there by, so let's run it again and see if it still works. Seems to work, and we seem to still get the same information as earlier. And then we will go here and change this value to true, just to try it out. We run it again, and now the ship address and bill address should be equal, and that seems to be the case. So we actually implemented that quite easily. So there we have that. So now I think we are feature complete when it comes to reading the data. Perhaps I've missed something more, but for now it seems feature complete. So now we are going to go into shipping data. So let's fetch this header print and put that into the shipping data again. So we have some code that we can start with. Again, we don't want to use this first here, and I think we need some of these as well. So we have all the imports that we need. The only one that I forgot here seems to be the color. That seems to be a running theme, and also the exception could be good to have. So let's see. Now we are going to not write any text at the moment, so let's remove this for the meantime, and then we will go over and copy a few of these lines. We set the non-stroking. I think we had already one of those, and then we add rectangle, and then we do fill content, or it's contents, and we do fill. So there we have it. And now let's try to do some easy figuring out what this rect should be like. I believe that the first ones should be starting x value, starting y value, and then we have the width and the height for this rect, and I believe it should be light gray. And if that doesn't work, we could always copy our header color. I believe we had a color here, yeah. So here we have a light grayish, so let's take that one instead. So we have more of a more fine grain color, so we can change it up if we feel that it's too light or too dark. So here we start at the x value of 120, because that seems to be where we started the address up top. That seems fine. And then we had our address information at 660, and we are going a bit down. So let's say that we start at 580, and it should be at least 50 high. Say 40 high. Yeah, this is the high value. Yeah, of course. And then see here, we want to go from one part of the screen over to the other part, and we have the other column at 500, and that's almost all the way over. So let's go for the full 600 perhaps. Could be round about there. So now I think we should be able to print a bit of a elongated rectangle. So then we go into Invoice and add our function to print the shipping data contents as well. There we go. So let's build this. Let's see if we get any errors. Of course we got one. Can't find symbols at line 64. So what symbols can't you find? Shipping data? Ship data. Okay. We had abbreviated it a bit. That's fine. Let's build again. And run it. Now let's see the result. Okay, so we got an actual bar. I think it was a bit high, too large, and it's a bit too far up. We need to push it down a bit. And I also believe that we might want to start a bit further to the left. So yeah, that's a good starting point. So let's go over to shipping data, say that we want 20, and it should not be 600, so let's say 500, and we push it to say 70. So that should be, yeah, and then we want it to go even further down, so let's go 520. See how this fares. See here, whoa, that was obviously too far, at least too far down. But I think we have the right width and also the right height values. So let's just push this up to 550. So that should be somewhere in between. Might be a bit far up, but hopefully it's, yeah, seems about right. Could go even further. Strange that, oh, it prints it the other way down. It prints it up. of course. So when we had 40 before, it printed 40 pixels up. And now it only prints 20, so that's why it changes so much. So there we have our rectangle with a light gray, and I think we could go even lighter because I think this is a bit heavy on the page. So let's go really light. And after this, I think we also should set the color to color black, and then we stroke the same rectangle as well. Let's see. Okay, so this is a non-stroking color, so we should have a stroking color. Perhaps we could even do this and fill and stroke. I think there's a function called that. So we do it in one swoop. Let's see if I'm right. Whoa, I remember correctly from all my testing. Let's see here. Whoa, we got a box. That was quite nice. So easy peasy. And then we need another box below with the same measurements but without the fill. So let's go for that as well. I believe that the line around is a bit heavy. So let's define that color as well. And we say that this color should be 100 perhaps, just to lighten it a bit. Stroke, color, fill, color. So we give those names as well. And then we should have another rectangle down here that we only stroke. And it should be at 550 with the same measurements, I guess. So let's see how that feels. Much of this creation is look and feel, so you have to try it out for each instant and feel if this feels correctly. And I think this seems a bit right. I'm pretty satisfied with this. So let's put some information into it. We can continue with our Helvetica font and we can push it up to 12. Let's remove some of this information here and call this header printer. So this is to type the header information up there. We should type it inside of this box. So let's say that we start at 80 and 560 might not be the right. We go from the bottom, so we should go a few points up from the bottom. Let's say that we have let's say, so 67, that means that we have a padding of 3 points, 66, so 4 points. And let's see here, we had some headers that we wanted to use. We can go into the shipping data here and see what kind of information that we need in our shipping data file here. So we want to show the shipping number. Might want to create that a bit. We want the sales rep. We want the sale date, ship date. We want ship via. We want the terms, and lastly we want due date. So that's the information that we need to put into our header at good intervals. So we push these at the same placement. And then we know that we have 500 pixels to go with, and we need a bit of a padding between each of these. So due date can't be further away than, let's say, 44, 50 perhaps. Terms don't need that much, so we can have that at 42. Ship via needs a bit more, so that could be 37. 37. And this could be 31. And then we end up at, let's say 24. So now everything should be pretty far to the right, but then we can at least see how much room we got and how we want to move things around. Let's say that we put this somewhere in the middle and this further down, so yeah, we don't have to switch that much. So let's go here, do some more packaging, some more running and watching. So here we have our information. We see that the actual spacing between the different words are not that bad, actually. Quite evenly distributed, but we want to push it up a lot. So the text is actually written from above. So let's see here. If we have 20 pixel the stem, we are up at 90, so 86, say, no. Let's start at 82 and see what that gives us. If 82 is 582, do some copy pasting here. Why? Let's say header Y, and that's 2. Should be final as well. Final is good to say to variables that you know are constant, that you don't change during execution. Then the compiler could set those as immutable and handle them more efficiently. So it's good to use the final keyword. Usually the compiler is quite smart, so it will figure those things out, but it's not bad to do it anyway. So let's see here, we push this over to 70. I believe these should be a bit more closer, so let's try that just for kicks. Let's see if you're closer. Of course we need to run it as well, don't forget that. So now we are on top of things. So now we need to push it down, but we are closer to the results that we want. So let's say that we want it down 5 points, and we want due date terms to move to the right, and ship via, due date to the right and ship via to the left, I should say, a bit. So ship via, let's say we put that at 40 and due date at 80. Yeah, of course, because we have 70, so it's actually 570. 570, that is the end. So we can push this even further. And we wanted this down a bit, 5 points I said. So 77 then. Build, run, view again. And now we are talking with portals. This is quite nice. So let's see here. We had this information here. So let's go back here and see what the distribution is. Due date, don't need much at all, so let's push it even further away there, because that's just the date. Ship date, the same goes for that, so only 60 pixels should be enough for that. Sales rep need a bit more, so let's push it a bit over. Terms, it's quite small as well. Ship via a bit more. See here we have 60 pixels between points between those, and we have a lot of points between the terms, so push terms to 50. So there I think we have pretty much what we want in the header printer. So here we have the text printer that should actually type the text, and we get another final and push it down to, this is 77, so this is 57 then. We continue with 12 points, and I believe that should be enough. And this we call text Y, just to make it easy for us. And then we need to use the getter functions again. Get, see here, and ship number. Get sales rep. This get, and here we had the ship date. This get ship via. I think we also had string there, and we can get the see here terms, and lastly this get due date string. So we get the formatted value that we want to print there. So let's see how this will render in our layout. Run it. Okay, so we actually don't have enough space for the due date. We don't have enough space for the ship date, but the rest we have enough space for. So either we could be content by moving these a bit, but I think the better solution is actually to push the font slightly down, because that will make the header stand out a bit more. So let's try that. We change 2 points and see if it's more readable and better composed. Yeah, this seems about right. And I believe that I'm not gonna paint any lines around these different values. I don't think that that will give us any more readability than we already have. So here we have, I think we will move the sales rep a bit, because that could actually grow more than the shipping number. The shipping number is at that length and should not be longer than that, I believe. But the sales rep, that could change a lot. So that could be a lot longer, I suppose. So just do some small fixers here. We move that over a bit. And build, run, and check again. Oh, that was quite too much. So 60 then. Run. Whoops. Yeah. You don't need to run it again now. Just watch it. So that seems about right. We have a fixed layout that could print a quite long sales rep information. We could write the postal service information, and we have some terms that we print as well. Perhaps we should bump up the ship to and bill to addresses a bit, because those seems a bit hard to read in this format. So let's go in and give the header a larger font here. So I think this should be 10 points. And what did we say down here? Did we give? Yeah, that's a text printer, so that's the same. And we also go to the address information and bump that up to 10 points as well. So we use the same font size for all the text, because 10 points seems to be more readable and a bit nicer. So let's see what that did. Yeah, better. And now I think we need to fix the rows a bit, so they are a bit larger, but as we have done now, we have quite easy task to move them a bit because of how we have implemented this. And this is just changing this value. We could have done it even easier by having that constant, that the rows should be 12 points, but we didn't do that. So this is a bit harder, because here we have actually to do math. So this should be 700, so 680, 696, and I believe these are just 688, so that would push those down a bit. So let's see how that renders, if those 2 points did a trick, or if we need to do it even more. So mostly it's just moving things around. yeah, now I think we have enough breadth to the page. One of my first employers always said that you need to have breathing room in your design. So if you don't have enough air between elements, it feels quite heavy to read, quite heavy to see, and could be harder to comprehend. So always push some air between letters and so on, so you can easily take in the information. So yeah, I think we have done great work today, and I'm really excited to see how the next part of this invoice will turn out. I hope you have learned something today, and I hope these videos are both interesting and educational for you. And I hope that you share this with your colleagues, give it a like, or leave a nice comment, and subscribe if you want more of these videos. And I see you in the next video.